until it says record to begin my little introduction of Peter. Yes, we can see that. Okay, so Peter is a commercial real estate agent with the Triumph Group at KW Advantage Realty. He has loads of business and contracting experience, from founding multiple companies to working as a project manager. Through these positions, he's gained a lot of valuable skills related to the real estate industry, like residential design, renovation, green building, and space planning. I didn't have a lot to go off of when writing Peter's bio here, but I did find a very nice LinkedIn review that I would like to share before I hand the mic off to Peter. And it says, Peter is knowledgeable, dependable, and personable. And I think those are three great qualities in a real estate agent. So with that, I will pass the mic to Peter. I'm excited to see what you have to say about investment properties.
Thank you, Kayla. So I know a lot of people are either a 1099 or a W-2 in our group. So with a show of hands, who is a W-2? Not many. A couple of people. So most of us are 1099 along with myself, and I've been a 1099, meaning I work for myself and whatever I bring in is what it is. And I've been a 1099 since college. So either one aspect or another of development, business industry, and now commercial real estate. So I set off about, what was it, 8 years ago, investing in multifamily property personally. So, and then I got my license about 6 years ago, and kind of came to the realization of I'm going to use my license to put together deals on this. So between networking and, you know, just going out and meetup groups and that sort of thing, getting rid of my, well, still have a 1099, but definitely don't have a W-2 ever, type of format. So what we're looking at doing here is in the next 3 years, getting rid of your W-2 or making it a heck of a lot easier with your 1099 and have more passive income. So by doing this, the one thing that I found strategic with this is partnering up with people that already have experience. You know, I came from a contracting construction development background. And so I thought I knew everything about construction, but I didn't know that much about finance at that time. Now I do. So you kind of teach yourself and you set yourself into different roles and you partner with people who already are experts in those fields. So you stay in your lane, they stay in theirs, and then you kind of move forward with them. So we, you know, the first deal we did, I mean, we almost failed because there were so many little micromanagement pieces to this and everyone to have their hands on it. And it almost blew up on our face and we almost ended up losing a property. So at that point, we kind of restructured and said, all right, what's going to be an easy way? So we looked at the first year, and the first deal that we came across was $1 million purchase. And we needed about $300,000 to take this thing down. So we structured this and got different developers and different money people coming in and investors. And I took a 10% or a 1% acquisition fee coming in. So besides the deal that we invested in, and we all put in, you know, about $25,000 a piece, you know, I got 10 grand back. And so you roll that into the next deal. Hang on. The second deal, it was about a 1.5 or $1.6 million deal. And I ended up with a 15K acquisition fee. And you just keep going and finding these deals and bringing it to these general partners. And you're coming in as a limited partner. So the difference between those are a limited partner is someone who has some cash, but not a lot of cash. And they don't have the experience. So they join up with someone that has a GP or a general partner role that has done this before. So they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the clout, they have the backing to get this thing done and across the finish line. you're kind of along for the ride the first couple of years on this thing. And you have to be okay with that. And as you gain experience and knowledge through these people, you can move on to much larger deals. So the third deal we did in the first year was about 2.5 million. So we ended up having to raise about 700K. And that's going to cover carrying costs. It's going to cover renovations. It's going to cut up startup management fees and that sort of thing. So keep the management companies in these properties as you go, because trying to manage these properties is a nightmare also. So if there's already a management company put into these things, keep going with it. So that one netted out about a 20K acquisition fee. And as we kind of get going down, year one, I ended up with about $45,000, just putting these deals together. And so, you look at, whether you're an employee, this is one of the best books I've read, is the Cash Flow Quadrant. And it basically kind of breaks down what you need to do to have passive income and become an investor, where you're just finding deals, you're just, running money through it. So year two, you can kind of look at it. We shot for about one property per quarter on this was the goal, and we hit it. You can kind of see the breakdown of the acquisition fees and the amount raised, as we're getting more and more, Q2, Q3, Q4, we're looking at about $1 million raise, and those properties are going to be around $3 to $5 million. And those are going to be, depending upon the area that you're in, that might be like a 40-door apartment complex of getting into that. So you keep building, you keep stacking stuff up. So year two, I ended up with about $115,000 of just putting these deals together. And now I'm getting enough net worth to roll my money back into the deals that are coming in. And so I'm trying to gain, the part where I'm becoming a GP on this thing, meaning I'm going to have more money coming in over the years. Oops, lost myself. So that was about 100K. So you want to partner up with experienced partners. You want to keep doing more and more each time. You want to build your systems on here. And, we set out a goal, one per quarter, which is definitely doable. And you just have to focus on each property individually. And you want to get the next property set up in the quarter before, because it takes some time to get these deals put together in the syndications. And a syndication is basically a group of people that go and pool money together to purchase a property as an investment. And that might look like a 3 or a 5 year hold, meaning you're not going to see any returns for, at least 2 to 3 years, and then they're going to get cashed out around year 5. So, raise more money with each time. So every time that you're out, you're constantly networking with people and you're always capital raising. You're always trying to find capital, because that's the hardest thing. You can find deals all day long, but unless you have the capital, you're never going to pull anything down. So year 3, we went a little bit bigger. We went to more of a, above 50 doors. So above 50 apartments in one section, and it might be multiple buildings. But what we kind of stayed away with in the beginning of this is getting a whole bunch of single family homes. With that, you have so many roofs that you need to take care of that you end up just doing maintenance all the time. Where if you have even a 12 unit apartment complex, which is, somewhere in the realm of $1.2 million. And if the thing's making money, you don't have to put a lot of money down with the bank. The part where the maintenance is a heck of a lot less on that piece. So year 3, I ended up with about 180K in there. And taking the stuff that I was doing with my real job, I was able to roll $100,000 into the next acquisition that we did. So now, you end up year 3 at around $150,000 plus your income that you're already making. So this is just extra money It doesn't take a whole lot of time, probably 10 hours a week doing some networking with this. So at this point, we have about 7 assets in our portfolio. And now we're a general partner. I still have a full-time, job and trying to build momentum moving forward. So managing the assets now is going to kill your momentum of trying to get these things going and staying. So you're going to keep management companies in place. They're going to vet all of the tenants that are going in, keep track of maintenance, everything else. You're just going to touch base with that management company on that property. And then at the end of year 3, I quit. You're W-2, not working. Let's get that straight. So now you're, an employee that's optional. If you want to keep going down that road, you're going to be taking more of a lead role. You might want to look at starting some type of investment fund and having, friends and family invest. They can be limited partners in these things. You're looking for larger deals. And one of them we took down, I was a limited partner on, but it was about a 250 unit apartment complex. And, I just kind of sat back and learned from those what was going on. So year 4, that was an easy 90K because we only took down 3 properties. Year 5, we took down the much larger properties, and that was a net of $230,000, which I rolled about $175K back into new deals as a general partner. And this is all stuff that you just keep building on and building on and building on in your portfolio. So one of the most recent deals that we did was last year. It was a 43 unit complex in Chicago, a $10.1 million purchase price. And we ended up with $5 million in equity after we did a small renovation. So the acquisition fee for me was $300K on that deal. I kept $180K and rolled $120 back into another deal. So this is the last property that we closed last year was down in Springfield. This was a very interesting project. It was a huge value add where the property had been sitting vacant for about 8 years. So it was a complete renovation. It was a hard sell, but the nuts and bolts of the place it was all concrete block. It was sitting on a great foundation. We needed new roofs, new drywall. People had gone in there and vandalized and stripped out all the copper, all the piping, hot water heaters. So we had about a $5.5 million renovation budget on this thing, but we were able to purchase the property for $2.3 million. So all in, we were just under about $8 million into this thing. We got it rented out. It was in a great area. They had just put a nursing school in there. And so we went from what they call as a C-level property, which is kind of a basic entry-level apartment building, to a B+ after we finished all the renovations. And it was pretty desirable for nursing students and, semi-professionals to come in here and rent one of these places. And we got evaluated last year, at the end of this past year, at $13 million as a appraisal on this property. And we have just under 8 into it, and we've only held it for about a year. We had a year of construction. So it's kind of, I can show you the numbers on this thing, but year 1, there's no profit on this thing. And then year 2 is when we start making money. And we can touch base on, an equity multiplier, cash on cash, and an IRR in another meeting. But, all said and done is you just have to start building your wealth, and you have to start out with something at some point. And, I think real estate is one of the best ways to do that. And real estate has never gone down in value, so to speak. It's always increased, whether it's land or the actual structure sitting on it. So that's one of the best assets and one of the best money generators you can have. And now a lot of these properties, we're coming up on, year 5 on some of these bigger properties, and we're looking at cashing out of these things. So everything's kind of coming tenfold. And now I'm able to list these properties with another broker for sale. So I'll get the real estate transaction on the deal as a commercial broker, and I'll roll that back into another deal. So there's how you get rid of your W-2 in 3 years. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Throwing a lot out at everybody.
Are you doing all 506Cs now with the syndications?
506 C and Bs.
C and Bs? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we have a structured company that we're set up with, and we can send over accredited and non-accredited investors into the same fund. And we
Okay,
pull
gotcha.
off of both C and D funds to fund that one property.
Okay.
So basically, an accredited investor is someone who makes over $200,000 or $300,000 with a spouse or significant other for 2 years. They have to have a net worth of over $1 million, meaning assets, properties. You can't use your personal property with that. And a non-accredited investor is kind of everyone else that doesn't fall into that. So if, we had a group of ladies put together a deal, and they brought in, I want to say $75,000. And there was about 15 of them that got together, and they asked all of their friends for $5,000. And they put together a syndication with these ladies and brought in $75,000 in a deal like 2 years ago, and all of them have doubled their money. So you don't need a lot to get started. You just need to have the group to put it together. It's kind of what I'm looking at. So the average fee that we take on a deal like this is putting together is between 1 and 1.3%. But as it gets larger, it gets bigger. The deals get bigger, your acquisition fees get larger.
So Peter, when you offer these syndications, is this like a Reg D offering or Reg A plus?
It's an A plus. It goes into a fund that we set up with another company.
Who's the trust company that you use?
A-vestor.
Okay.
Yeah. So they started out about the same time that we did, and they were very savvy, and they have an SEC attorney that we deal with all the time, making sure that, everyone's crossing their T's and dotting their I's on all this stuff coming in. So
gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And you got to make sure that it gets a little technical when you're trying to pitch something on Zoom, that
right.
You have to know these people. It can't be someone that you're not familiar with pitching to. So you can't send this out on social media and say,
right.
Hey, anyone that's got $5,000, bring it to me. I could come to Miles and, hey, I got this deal. We've had a previous relationship. I know him, or, Jose, now I can come to you and say, hey, we got this deal, pitch it to him. And, it's either yay or nay.
Right. Great presentation. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks.
Hey, Peter, realistically, how much money does, a first time person need to bring to the table to make it a worthwhile, thing as far as investment goes?
I would say any, but I would say to make it worth it, at least 20K.
Okay.
And that way you get a little more sand in the sandbox, so to speak, in your bucket, than someone that's coming in with less and coming in with 20, or you tag team up. And what we've done before is, people with our IRAs can come in and put in. We've done this a lot with a gentleman that's out in New York. He's retired. He's been retired for quite some time. He'll just keep dipping into his IRA, and he comes in and he puts in the earnest money on these properties. And so if the deal doesn't go through, he gets his earnest money back and it goes back into his IRA.
How does that work with, sorry, we'll set up a one-to-one, but I'm curious how that works, because when you pull money, is it a Roth IRA or is it a traditional? Do you know?
I don't know for sure. All I know is he's got a couple different IRAs. I'm not sure which one he pulls from because it goes right in the title.
Yeah, because when you withdraw from a traditional, like I said in my presentation last week, it's obviously taxed at ordinary income tax rates. And then, I'd love to know the tax implications of when he gets his earnest money back. So we should set up
Yeah,
a
I'm not
one-to-one.
sure legally how that works or logistically. We've only had that happen twice where we couldn't get a deal across the table
Mm-hmm.
and ended up returning the earnest money. And that's one of the things that I make sure that does happen, that you're not writing hard money into a contract. And hard money is basically an earnest money check that goes in that whether you close the deal or not, you'll never see back.
Right. Right.
Hey, Peter, question.
Yeah.
One more quick one. In the deals that you're GP in, what's your role that you play in the GP?
Basically, I help organize and put all the stuff together with the general contractors and then put the
Gotcha.
deals together. So I get so many, I think I've sent you a couple different things coming through, but I get so much stuff coming across my email all over the US, and we go through and vet them and underwrite them and
Mhm.
make sure that they're going to make money. And then we can start throwing them out there and pitch them.
Gotcha.
So Ryan, we got a huge spreadsheet that you would love.
Yeah, let's set up a one-to-one.